So, hello everybody. My name is Travis Flans, as we heard. Well, you just heard that my name is Travis Flans, or whatever, however it's pronounced.
Travis
something or other. So, we're going to talk about getting your WordPress website ready to run your first Facebook ad. Who currently is running Facebook ads? Got a handful. So you all probably know everything. That's fine. We're going to have some fun either way. So who am I? Primarily, I'm an SEO and content strategist. My company is WebWorks of Kansas City. I'm the co-organizer of WordPress KC Meetup and WordCamp Kansas City. I like dogs. I'm a big lover of dogs. You'll see all of my dogs throughout my presentation. I also run the Kansas City Dog Club, which is a social club for dog lovers. I've been volunteering at one of our largest in Kansas City animal shelters since 2010. I train new volunteers, and I am also on the advisory council of Spay and Neuter Kansas City, which is a program that helps families in need with their dogs get low-cost spay, neuters, vaccinations, and pet food. So I always like to say also, I am nobody, really. One of the best advice I got my entire life was from one of my AP high school history teachers. He said, don't believe everything he's saying because he's standing at the front of the room and telling it to you. Believe it because you've done your own research, done your own experimentation, and you've come to the same conclusion. Nobody who's standing up in the front of any of these rooms knows everything about everything, so always take the advice and apply it to your website, your business, your life. Your life. So a couple things we're not going to cover in this session. We're not actually creating any Facebook ads, so hopefully, I saw that part kind of missed out on the description on the website, but I added it in a comment. Hopefully you noticed that. We're not going to talk about cheating the Facebook algorithm, even though everybody wants to know the best way to deal with the Facebook algorithm. Also, being that this is a 45-ish minute presentation, we're not going to be getting super deep. However, this fall I will be doing a Facebook boot camp with iThemes in collaboration with iThemes, which is about a 6 to 8 hour webinar series. So you can get my newsletter if you want to sign up for it, and I'll let you know when that's coming out. I'll also give you my slides right away at the end. Anything that has an underline is linked, so you don't need to take photos of all the slides or scribble things down. Take notes, but don't copy every slide. So, participation points. I'm a little different than a lot of presenters. As I said, I don't think I know everything, so I'm going to ask for you all to participate. And if you don't participate, this is going to be super short and super boring. So just keep that in mind as we're quiet here in this big room, that it will be over quick and you'll be bored. One thing. Try to take away one thing from today's session. I judge success if one person comes up to me and tells me they learned one thing, so the rest of you other 30-ish people are going to be SOL if one person tells me I did a good job. That's all I care about. Also, something that's kind of new that I heard, I forget exactly where I heard this or who I heard it from, but if you already know everything we're talking about today, rather than get on your phone and text somebody and tune out, think to yourself about your website, your business. How well am I doing this, and how can I do it better? So since I heard this, I don't remember where I heard it, a few months ago, I have gotten a way more value out of watching YouTube videos, out of attending webinars, and going to conferences. Because rather than just tuning out, I started actually paying attention and thinking, how does this apply to my business, and how can I do it better? Because I do things fairly well, but it can always be better. So we all know Facebook is big, right? WordPress is big. That's why we're here. I'm not going to go through all these stats, but who thought that Facebook was going to start dying after the whole data breach or data leak? There's a handful of people. I feel like there's a handful of people who also didn't raise their hand who believe that. It didn't. And I'm not going to go through all these numbers, but it's some of the crazy ones I think are just absolutely insane. 1 of every 5 minutes spent on a mobile device in the U.S. is on Facebook or Instagram. That's crazy. And then the other thing that I think is really crazy is 37 million Google searches every month for the term WordPress. Those are pretty amazing. So, before we really get rolling into this, let's talk a little bit about my approach and my philosophies behind social media for clients, okay? I offer services everywhere from SEO to pay-per-click, social media, web development and design. But I take a very specific approach to everything I do in marketing. The approach that I start with always starts with search. As you saw on the very first slide, SEO is my primary competency. So I flip it around, always. I don't really care about, and I'm not saying you should not care about this, but whenever a client approaches me, I don't ever start with daily posting on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it may be. My approach is always to get the website set up, to get the business set up, ready to start running ads, because that's where the value is going to be for you. So everything I do starts with search. With that, hoping, right, creating the content on the website, so hopefully the first time a potential customer hears about you, this is again my strategy, my philosophy that I use, is that it's through search. They're looking to answer a question, solve a problem, they search for it, they find you. Then through there, we are building their trust with high quality content on the website, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but that means, you know, products and services, super in-depth, super detailed. Talk about your cost, your price. Talk about the problems potentially with your services, what success looks like with your products and services, what failure looks like as well. Because people who are purchasing, they want to know both ends of that spectrum. And if you're up front with them with the problems, that's going to build that trust very quickly. So then I like to build a highly targeted audience from those people who have already visited my website. And that's whenever I start showing those ads to them, and specifically in this case on WordPress ads. So it's a little bit different than a lot of people take, but I always start with search and the idea that I'm going to be answering a question that somebody is already looking for before I do anything else in my marketing approach at all. So where are you all at in the process? Those of you who raised your hand that said you're running Facebook ads, don't be shy. This is a safe place. This is WordCamp. It's not some international conference. So how many of you feel like your websites are, well, you're here, so how many of you feel like your websites are set up solid, you're confident that every ad that you're running is getting maximum value and ROI? Got one? Good. Two? All right. Excellent. So I always, with every new client I take on, I always slow down, talk them through the process, and we start over from the beginning. No matter if they're a company that does $15 million a year or a company that's just getting started that doesn't even have their first client yet. So, starting with the question, who is your ideal customer? Who is your target customer? Does your business's message actually relate to that target and that ideal? So, somebody help me out with this. What industry are you in, and who is your ideal customer?
So I have a little agency, and our ideal customer is somebody that wants a small boutique agency, one-stop shop, not a freelancer, not a huge agency.
Okay. So who's your target customer?
Our target customer is a customer who wants an effective website and wants a team.
Okay. I like this marketing funnel here because it's focused basically on content. And I don't know who to attribute this to because I've seen it on like 50 different websites. But I really like this funnel. So does anybody is anybody new to understanding the marketing funnel? Okay, thank you for your honesty, thank you. So the basic process that a potential customer goes through, they have a thought about something. And you'll relate this to yourself if you're new to the marketing funnel. You have a thought about something. Then you're like, hey, I need that, even if it's just a new black t-shirt with a word across the chest and your logo on the sleeve. It's something simple, but you feel like you need it, whether it's really a need or a want. And then you start doing some consideration research, basic research. Then you start getting more serious. You're going to start comparing two different companies, two different products. Eventually, you're going to make a purchase, hopefully. And then hopefully you're loyal to that brand that you purchased, right? let's back up again to a couple slides ago. Are you picking a target, or are your actual services and products driving the targeting? So this example I have here is an example actually of a new client, a fairly new client that I have in Kansas City. They are a fitness, or they're a fitness kind of personal training kind of facility. I started working with them. I said, who is your target? Somebody who's 38 years old, works at a desk all day, and wants to lose a couple pounds. That's me, right there. So as we started talking, we're like, really? Is that your target? This fitness center has a very unique approach. Their entire model of their fitness programs is around moving correctly while you're exercising, so you're not in pain the next day, so you're not hurting yourself more. Does anybody work out regularly? Yeah, thank you for your honesty of those who didn't raise your hand. Okay. So, I mean, this part of the conversation is not really does Travis really need to lose a couple pounds or more than a couple pounds? But we figured out that, you know what? I may need to lose a couple pounds, but I don't work out regularly. I don't have any need to particularly move correctly whenever I'm working out because I don't work out at all. This is their actual target. This is my girlfriend Lauren. She's battled with her weight her entire life. She is overweight, but she does not let that hinder her from the exercise she wants to do. The photo here on the left, well, let's start with the right, is last year her running the Kansas City Marathon. The photo in the center is her finishing the Sanders Saunter 50K, which is 31 plus miles. Okay? And she's very inspirational. She's overweight, and every time she runs a distance, she was having knee problems. Who's more likely to be their actual target customer here? Me, the guy who goes for walks in the woods with his dogs every once in a while, but usually is sitting at a coffee shop on his computer still on his free time, or the inspirational woman who's out there running a marathon, right? So just keep that in mind as well. And we're talking about setting up your website to get ready to run your first ads. So keep that in mind. Now we've kind of honed down who should be the target market, and they've kind of switched their messaging a little bit, but you want to create that in-depth content on your website. And this is where so many small businesses fail. Who wants to talk about pricing on their website? Nobody. Why do you not want to talk about pricing?
It just varies from client to client.
Varies from client to client, product to product, need. Say again?
Engage the customer.
So you want them to talk to you because you can sell it better in person or with your voice? Anyone else?
Don't want our competition to know how much we're charging.
Yes. All right. So you've hit 3 very big and different points. Do you know how much your competition charges? No.
Well,
Have you?
Not from their website, but word of mouth.
Exactly. So if you know how much they charge, they know how much you charge. All of your services are different? That's correct. But you know what makes this cost go up and go down. These are all opportunities for you to build that trust on your website with somebody who visits it. Because if you don't have that pricing or an idea of pricing or a way for them to get that pricing very quickly, they are going to go somewhere else. They're not going to call you if they can't get a ballpark idea. Now, I'm not saying I list all of my pricing on my website, but I do have an estimate form they can fill out and get a big generalized estimate, right? So keep that in mind. So I'm going to give you this basic simple strategy that I use pretty much for 99% of clients. Create content focused at the bottom of the funnel to those people who are doing the analysis and comparison portion, okay? Make sure that content is deep and focused, answering the questions. Now, landing pages, we're not talking about, in this case, we're not talking about campaign-driven landing pages where you only want them to take one action. We're talking about landing pages where people are going to land on your website regardless of how they get there. So I've got some resources here. Is everybody familiar with Syed Balki? WPBeginner.com? Yeah? Kind of? Okay. So this is linked to a great podcast episode with him where he talks about that's what he views also. So many businesses, they start way high rather than creating that content that is focused at people who are already trying to buy from you. And then this is one of my favorite books of the past 5 years that I recommended already a couple times today. They Ask, You Answer. It all talks about answering the questions that your clients are actually asking you. You know what people are asking you when you meet with them. You know the continued questions that you're answering for current clients. Put that on your website, because how many people are you missing out on that never contact you because they couldn't get the answer to those questions? So, and of course, be super specific with everything. So here's again the funnel. So create your content towards the green section. You're already halfway down the funnel. So we're already talking about people, we're answering the questions that people are looking for. We're kind of skipping the whole getting in front of them with those basic Facebook ads where you're not using your website in this process. Because if you're starting at the top of the funnel on Facebook with Facebook ads, then you have to make them aware of you. You have to convince them they have a need. You have to do the basic research for them. But if they're entering your funnel by finding your website right here in the green section, you've skipped half of the funnel. So being specific. I can't harp on this enough. We already talked about it a little bit. But here's one of my favorite examples of all time in anything, anywhere. Well, the biggest idea is speak to the desired end result of the visitor to your website. What is their mentality now? What are you going to do for them? How are you going to make them feel later? Has anybody seen this result? I think I saw somebody laughing a little bit. No? Okay. Maybe it's just me. So there was this book released in, I believe it was 84, by Nora Hayden, who's an ex-actress from the 60s, I believe was her most popular time. She released this book called Astrological Love in the 80s, right? Groovy. What does that mean? Anybody want to give a shout? What is astrological love? I see you right there.
What is it, your like zodiac sign?
And that's a good guess. Anybody else? Anybody else? Nobody has a clue, right? That's why this book was a flop. Absolute flop. 1982, my apologies. 1982, absolute flop. Nobody knew what it was about. This book was re-released in 1990. The rights were picked up. It was re-released. Less than 10,000 copies sold of the original one. Became a New York Times bestseller. Now, I mean, of course, for 1990, it's still a little vague, doesn't get right to there. But I think we all have a better idea of what this book is about based on the headline, right? So, you see how being specific, and again, we're not talking digital marketing with this, but still being specific with any type of marketing message that you have. Who's more interested in the red book? Yeah? Okay, see, look, everybody. See, look, exactly. The ladies are interested too because, hey, fellas, who's more interested in the astrological love? Yeah, and some people are interested in either one, so whatever, that's good. Again, we're going back to this funnel. We're talking about when you're being super specific with your messaging and being in-depth with your content on your website. Again, we're always going to be coming back to this funnel. We are entering at the green stage whenever you're super specific. You're not having to spend all this money and all this time trying to convince somebody that you have a service that they need because you're already offering the services and creating the content based off what they are looking for. Again, we're not getting really deep into that. So, this is really why you're here, I assume. Who's got any value out of creating the messaging and understanding that messaging and getting deep? Okay, nobody. Okay, we got two. Good. Good. All right, that's good. So now let's talk about hooking up WordPress and Facebook for your actual ads and marketing. All right, so now we have created, right, we've created all of our valuable content. So we have a place to actually send people that equals our messages that we're going to send out in our ads. In Facebook, who has their Facebook page in the Facebook Business Manager? Handful, okay. Who still just uses the regular, Facebook.com rather than business.facebook.com, okay? got a couple of both. If you're not using Facebook Manager, go to business.facebook.com, put your business page into there. You're going to get a lot more analytics. And they actually have some pretty simple integrations built right in. That's going to walk you through setting it up. So WooCommerce, WordPress, if you use any of these other platforms, they're already pre-approved integrations through Facebook. So you can do all those fairly simply. But the plugin that I like on WordPress is called Pixel Caffeine. Has anybody used Pixel Caffeine from Espresso? Do it. So when we're integrating, we're talking about adding the Facebook tracking pixel to your website, right? So does everybody have Google Analytics on their website? Everybody has Google Analytics. Who doesn't have the Facebook tracking pixel on your website? Handful of people. Good. Thank you for being honest. So it's about double that, I'm going to guess. So that's one thing I do for every client from the beginning is I install the Google Analytics, of course, and I also install the Facebook tracking pixel. Because even if you're not advertising on Facebook today, you can advertise to anybody who's visited your website over 6 months. And that's huge. So I would just always want to make sure that even though my clients may not be ready for Facebook marketing or pay-per-click marketing, that we get them set up and ready to go so when they are, that we can be a little more effective, efficient, and boost that ROI. So I like to use Pixel Caffeine, and I'm not going to get super deep into it, but we're going to talk about some of the basic features that it has. It's a plugin just like any other plugin. Installation, they did have a very good walkthrough. But what I really want to talk about is what's going to benefit you in getting your site ready to run your first Facebook ad if you haven't, and if you like the strategies that I mentioned of getting your initial visitor and potential client views through search, is the custom audiences that you can create right in Pixel Caffeine. So those of you who are doing Facebook ads currently, who is using custom audiences? Hopefully everybody. So I see some hands up there. You. I'm going to call you out. All right. Not call you out. Ask for your help. Sorry. What is your industry, and what type of custom audiences do you create?
Travel nursing, or just travel healthcare providers. Our audiences are travel nurses, travel physical therapists, and
Okay. All right. And do you just create those audiences within Facebook?
yes.
Okay. Anyone else? There's some other hands. All right. Thank you.
We do heavy truck industry, so we target mainly men, older, middle-aged men with interests in different types of semis and over-the-road trucking.
Okay. So hiring for drivers, for example, kind of that area?
Parts is what we.
Oh, parts. Okay. Excellent. Anyone else? All right. So what I really like about Pixel Caffeine here is that with your custom audiences, you can create those directly in your WordPress dashboard. After you've installed this and connected your tracking pixel, you see this example I have here is running on my own business website. I just call it WordPress and SEO. So what I do is I look for anybody who has visited pages with a slug that contains SEO and a slug that contains WordPress. So if somebody's visited those two types of pages, I know that they are interested in SEO with WordPress. So the great thing about that is it's automatically going to create these audiences. Let's go back here for a second. It's automatically going to create these audiences for me inside of Facebook Business Manager. So I don't have to even go do it. It's automatically going to push it. It's going to keep it updated for me. So if I created this, I think actually these screenshots here are from November. But if I created this custom audience in November, it's still been updated the last 9 months.
Do you have to be running Espresso to have the Pixel Caffeine thing?
Pixel Caffeine is just their plugin to add. So she asked if you have to have Espresso. If you're not familiar with Espresso, it's kind of a Facebook marketing system that helps you, theoretically, refine your ads by doing continual A/B testing. But no, this is completely separate. The plugin is free, completely free. You don't have to pay for their service or anything. They do put out very good content too, by the way. But so that's what the value here is. Go ahead.
Doesn't Business Manager already have that?
It does have that. It does have it, but you have to update your audiences if you're targeting multiple URL structures, multiple words in URLs. So these are two different audiences that we're combining into one. And this is doing all this for you inside Pixel Caffeine. It also has the option so you can just basically say by blog behavior, people who have visited certain categories on your website, which is something that may not show up in your URL structure, for example, depending on how you have your URL set up. So it adds the different Facebook events for you. So you don't have to, or blog posts or content that was created or tagged with certain tags or products with certain tags, because this also has WooCommerce in here as well. So that's something that may not show up in your URL structure, which is kind of where the limit is inside of the Facebook Business Manager when creating that from your website. Or, of course, adding custom events, but we're going the simple route here. So as you can see, so this screenshot here was, actually this screenshot was from May of last year. But this custom audience, as you can see, it shows you I don't know how clear it is or with it being this small, but you can see that the size of the audience, roughly 12,000. I've had that one going for a couple of years, or not a couple of years. I think I started that one in late 2016. And at that point, grew an audience of 20,000 or 12,000 I can push those ads to. Does that make sense to everyone? So if you're offering multiple, this is what, with this example, I'm offering two different services. I'm creating an audience of people who have shown by their traffic on my website that they are interested in both of those services. Now, do we necessarily know if they're a potential customer or if they're a colleague or if they're a DIYer? Not necessarily, but when we run these ads to people who've already visited our website, they already know who we are, they already trust us because we've created that super in-depth, honest content for them, your cost per conversion can go down to pennies because you have super laser targeted this audience. I always like to, kind of finish, not quite finish, with talking about some easy wins. Because that's always hard, right? You get into Facebook, you start doing some ads. Who has done some ads and then just be like, I just wasted whatever the budget was, $200. I wasted this entire. Anybody who's ever done Facebook ads, hand should be up. You're just like, I just wasted this money. I have no idea why I wasted this money. I created this awesome looking ad, but your audience wasn't targeted potentially correctly, or your message wasn't. I'm a big believer of just being honest in the messaging and not going over the top. Don't ever hit super salesy. But if somebody already knows exactly who you are, what you're offering, and they visited, for example, multiple pages with WordPress in the URL, you know that they're deeper in that funnel. You could even say, if we go back, but if you have a URL contains, let's say it contains WordPress and the words thank you, and thank you is your redirection URL for any contact form. So you know they've contacted you in some method, you know they're interested in WordPress, so now you've driven that audience even more targeted because these are people who you have had contact with who are interested in your services or your products. And of course, I'm talking services here, but works almost identical with products. Yes, it's a little more difficult. Depending on your services and your products, your margins may be a little different, of course. So some really easy wins. Showcasing your expertise to Facebook users who have already visited your website. I mean, if you're just making Facebook posts to showcase your expertise out in the wild anyway, as that top of the funnel type Facebook ads, just target the people who already know that you know what you're talking about. Easy wins, low cost per, depending on how you set up your Facebook manager, but cost per conversion or click or wherever you want to send them to. Again, show ads to people who have visited specific products, specific categories of products. Abandoned cart. Who's experienced, has everybody gotten the abandoned cart emails? Right, where it's like, hey, we see Amazon does it all the time. Are you still shopping for fill in the blank?
No, I got one yesterday, so I got an email and I added it to my cart. And then it dinged my messenger like 4 hours later and it said, hey, you left this in your cart. So from my email to Facebook Messenger. I was like, I've never seen that. That was yesterday.
Yeah, so Facebook advertising is something that's, you know, a little more advanced. Have you ever purchased from that company before?
I did purchase from it.
So if you purchased it from that company, most likely you've opted into messenger messages because probably for some shipping notifications and so once you tell them that they can message you via messenger, they're going to do it. But yes, so same types of things. I mean, you can say, all right, I know somebody visited my red shoes category and then they also hit a page with the words checkout in there, but they did not visit the page that was /checkout/thank you. You can retarget people with red shoe ads, or what more specifically, ruby red slipper ads, you know, whatever it may be. So those are some easy wins whenever you get into it. Usually the setting up is the most difficult part. When I say most difficult, yes, it is still tough to run Facebook ads. It is still tough to get that conversion. But the easy wins are going to help you if you have taken the philosophy of setting it up where your website is ready to go. Your content is ready to go. You've already established yourself as an expert or a trustworthy person who knows a little bit about what they want. It's going to be a lot easier to continue that engagement and grow that relationship through actually monetary exchange for service or goods, right? So those are some easy wins. So did anybody learn anything? Got some head nods. So tell me, what did you learn and what are you going to go try first and what is your business?
Well, setting up the pixel for my clients, because I have not been doing that just because I really didn't know how. But a question about that is, do you then become like a temporary admin on all their Facebook pages? Like, how do you set that up for them and
Good
then
question.
kind of leave it?
Yeah, good question. So do you just offer one-off type, build a website and then you're done, or do you continue services?
Normally I like to hand them back off and
Okay.
train them how to.
Gotcha. So with all of my clients, I try to only take on clients that I'm going to have some sort of recurring relationship. So even if it is just as small as like ongoing WordPress, like plugin updates. But anyway, yes, I do have them add me or add WebWorks of Kansas City as an agency to their business page. And then so WebWorks of Kansas City acts as the agency. I am acting, me personally, on behalf of WebWorks of Kansas City. So I do get connected, and then afterwards they can disconnect me if they like, or we can go through the other process where I sit down with them and install it so I don't even have to get access. But generally speaking, I try to get most of my clients with the idea that we're going to grow to where I am going to help them with pay-per-click advertising in the future. So I always try to put that mindset in anybody I take on that, hey, this is where we're at now. What is it going to look like in 2 years? I always try to have a 2-year conversation with potential clients, so that way they're already thinking they want to be with me for 2 years, as long as neither one of us screw up the relationship, and we're continually growing. So it's a little different, but yeah, you can just sit with them and go in there and do it with them as well.
Yeah, and that's probably the same for your Google Analytics. Like,
Correct.
I've been setting that up, and I have, but yeah, you just keep.
Yeah, with Google Analytics, kind of same thing. If they already have it set up, then I ask them to add me as a user so I can make sure it's set up right, create their goals and all of that kind of stuff for them. But if they don't have it set up, then I just create it and I give them ownership rights and then show them how they can remove me if they want to. Some of my favorite tools and resources that are not always necessarily Facebook related. Some of my absolute favorites are Digital Marketer and the Perpetual Traffic Podcast, and then also Social Media Examiner. Most people who are into Facebook marketing are familiar with that, but they actually, something that's really cool, they do the Social Media Marketing Talk Show every Friday, which literally covers changes, updates, and it's literally social media news. And it's fantastic. They do that as a Facebook Live, and it's also YouTube Live, and then they republish it as a podcast if that's the way you like to listen. So You can grab these slides by just going to webworksokc.com/WC Omaha. You can give me your business card if I can send them to you if you can't go to that link real quick. If you want to chat about your business or an upcoming project, I'm always happy to have a 30-minute conversation on the phone. I'm Travis Flans on all the socials. And if you connect with me on LinkedIn, please do. Let me know where I know you from, because I get 100 recruiters every day trying to connect with me. So thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of WordCamp Omaha. And, of course, you can buy me a beer at the after party. So thank you.
Thanks, Travis.